This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Hello, hello. Welcome to Live from the Edge. How exciting is this?
Yeah, sorry we're late.
Well, those who listen in the future won't know that. But anyway, we're a little late. No big deal. No big deal. Everybody was just like on their edge of their seats waiting like, oh, this is going to be so exciting. This is going to be so exciting. So anyway, I'm Bruce Gibson. Welcome to Live from the Edge, where we're going to talk about Star Trek Discovery, the latest episode, episode 6 of season 2, or episode 21 if you count all the episodes. And this episode is titled The Sounds of Thunder.
Actually, it's The Sound of Thunder.
The Sound of Thunder. Let me make an edit. I remember when I was writing this down at work today, I'm like, I need to check, was it sound or sounds?
I double-checked just before we started because I thought the same thing.
Okay, so the sound of music. I mean, the sound of
the hills are
thunder.
Alive. The lake is alive with the sound of thunder. So sorry, guys.
The lake is alive with the sound of thunder. Okay. By the way, I'm Bruce Gibson here on the show, and with me, as she always is Brandi Jackson.
Yep, Brandi Jackson here, come right at you, or Jackie, just Jackie. You can call me Jackie.
Jackie Jackson is here.
Yeah, Jackie Jackson
of the Jacksons.
Yep, or Jackie Brandon. We could go that way too.
It's Marlon Jackson with us, ladies and gentlemen.
But that's not all, is it, Bruce?
No. By the way, it's Jackola or Jackola, whatever you want to pronounce it. And we have Hayley Stoddart with us. Hayley, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys? I'm enjoying your banter. This is really fun.
Well, good. You get to be involved in that banter.
I know. It's exciting. Yeah,
so
I'm doing really good.
First time doing a live show? Is this your first live ever doing something like this?
Yeah.
So we can't edit you. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. I'm usually pretty good. I considered having some wine tonight, and then I opted for some hot apple cider because I'm coming to you from a very cold Gamma Quadrant planet at this point right now. So we'll be good. I can self-edit.
Okay. And we also identified before we went live that you don't have the best internet connection, so there may be times that you freeze on us outside of being cold.
Yes, this is true. So if I freeze and I don't catch something and I don't hear you say something, just give me a moment, and I apologize for that. Again, I live in the Gamma Quadrant, and our internets, and they don't let us leave.
Gamma Quadrant!
Yes.
So sounds like Ruta Pente to me.
It could be.
Nothing survives on the surface.
It very well could be at this point. I mean, it was snowing the last time I looked outside, so it's true.
Well, if you're in the Enterprise era, it's really easy to escape from there. You just walk in, grab your people, walk back out. It's all good.
True.
This is true.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that there was a much longer scene before that of them fighting their way in, but we never saw that on that episode. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
No, we're here to talk about the sound of thunder.
Yes.
So, and Hayley, I don't know if you know, but we have a chat on YouTube if you want to look at that, but we're going to occasionally just read what people say, and it's so active that we just almost have to just randomly pick something. All right.
Well, of course.
It's so
it's
crazy.
Understandable. Well, that's because you guys are probably pretty popular, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my
we're
gosh. Yes.
We have people shout at us on the streets.
All the time. They're like, why?
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. They're shouting, "What? What are you doing? Please stop."
No, we have more people watching this show than the Facebook Live that they're doing called The Ready Room.
Ouchie.
Not really.
Well,
Okay.
of course.
We're just making out that we're better than they are. And I have no idea. I've never watched the Facebook show.
I haven't watched
I'm sorry.
either because I keep forgetting about it. But if any of them are watching, they're probably high-fiving each other saying, yeah, we're still better than them. Okay, so let's go right into it. So, Hayley, when did you watch this episode?
Like right before this.
So it's fresh in your mind. That's perfect. Because that's
It
the whole
is
idea
fresh
about
in my
live.
mind.
It's like you're going right
Yes.
into it right after you saw it.
I
So what were
am.
your impressions? What'd you think?
Holy crap. I might have nightmares. And this was intense. I'm honestly not a big Saru fan. He's an enjoyable character. So I was hesitant going in knowing that we were going to his planet. But it was enjoyable. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was a really well done story. But yeah, the Balu, no thanks.
Well, I also found out that before the show that Brandi has Baul problems. She's actually terrified of them too.
I do not do red glowing ice, guys. I just don't. I was scarred for life by Cylons and the Black Hole in the 70s, okay? And then Terminator in the 80s. I just can't do things with red glowing ice. They freak me out. And I watch a lot of horror movies, so I've been desensitized, and this still got to me. A lot.
And I was telling Brandi before the show, I didn't really even notice the red eye. I mean, after she said it, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that, but they didn't even stand out to me.
Yeah.
Oh, they did to me.
Yeah, that was too much for me. The whole like hair like hanging over kind of had like that ring effect. I do not do scary movies, so it was
No. But I it may be too early, but I'm going to go right there. I actually predict that we're going to find out that the Bao, even though they appear scary, that we find out that they're actually not, that they're actually pretty tame. We're just supposed to think that they're evil and scary right now.
I didn't say they were evil, just that they scared me.
Well, anything that's scary usually is evil.
Not true. Not true.
That's true. You're not evil. You do scare me, but you're not evil.
There you go. Case in point. I'm sorry for scaring you.
It's okay. It's quite all right. I just love the comment in the chat from William Jackson says, "Yay, live from the edge with Brandi and Hayley."
Oh, that hurts.
And then later on, he puts, "And Bruce."
Oh.
Christopher Littlefield says, "Not everyone keeps their genitals in the same place." I don't know why that was mentioned. I guess I have to read the whole thing to know why that's
We were talking about Rurapente and that scene from Star Trek 6.
That's what that's from.
And
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I thought the whole genital thing, like, pain in the genitals is where the title "The Sound of Thunder" comes from.
Okay.
Anyway, so what else about the Bao? What'd you think of them? We saw a preview of them before the episode, so you probably had an idea that they were scary. But what'd you think of the characterizations of the Bao?
So I don't watch the like next on because I'm trying to avoid as much spoilery stuff. So I had no idea. So it was a complete like holy crap moment for me. Let me go hide under the covers kind of thing. Their story is really interesting though. The fact that they were the prey species beforehand and then they became the predator. That it really like a quite interesting twist on that whole plot line, I think. So it was really interesting. But I didn't know what they looked like beforehand.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's cool. Brandi, what'd you think?
Well, I did know what they looked like beforehand, but watching that bowel raise up from that pit of what looked like oil. Did anybody think Armis for a second?
Just a little.
I bet some people did. Then, yep, see, Christopher Littlefield in the chat said, bring me Armis. Yeah, I thought that for a hot second, but as the noises it was making, the sound design on this episode was incredible and insane and added so much because, yeah, you could just show me a scene without sound of that thing rising up and it wouldn't be nearly as frightening as it was, well, until it opened its eyes, as it would be with those, unless they had that sound, those sounds that it was making. It was kind of almost like a really muted screaming.
Yes.
And it was just, which made everything so much worse at their appearance. So, but in the best possible way for me.
I'll have to admit, it was kind of hard to listen to after a while. That I rewatched it again with the subtitles on, with the closed captioning stuff on, just so I could really read what it's saying. Because after a while, I was just like, I don't want to hear this anymore. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a horrible sound.
Yeah.
It's a horrible sound. But I thought it was it's not at all what I expected. And that's great because I like having my expectations dashed and then, having this thing that I had no idea that would possibly be the bowel. So I don't know what I was thinking, like more soldier-like or what have you, but seeing them, then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Now, how were these guys the predators? Except for the technology, how were they the predators? And then, we get the whole backstory from the sphere data, as I'm just going to say, that, recorded all that stuff, which lends credence to my theory that the sphere purposely activated Saru's Vaharai.
Yes. And I think he kind of they confirmed that in that discussion.
Yep. So harebrained theory wasn't so harebrained. Yay me.
Yeah, and Ariam and Tilly were working there in that lab or whatever, going through all that data that they got from the sphere,
which was
too.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. There wasn't enough Tilly in this episode for me, but that's just me. But it was very Saru heavy, and I do love Saru. Actually, there isn't a single character on that series that I would just go, we're going to talk to this person this time. There's none of them. I don't feel that way about any of them. So it was fine to have Saru much more front and center. And I loved seeing the trusting relationship again between him and Michael. And Michael, understanding why Saru had to give himself up and knowing that she would have done the same thing in his place. And her facial expressions, again, dang, girl. You are just killing it with the facial expressions and making me feel things.
She's a lot more expressive this season than last season.
Well, she's getting in touch with her emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But thumbs up on the bowel. Very, very well done and frightening.
So, Hayley, what you started to say something earlier, and you're not a big Saru fan, so it's interesting to hear what you think of this episode.
Yeah, Saru's definitely not my favorite. Brandi had mentioned about, how these guys had become the predator. I want to know more about that. Like, how did the Ba'ul get the technology to become this predator species over the Kelpians and then keep them from advancing? Like, that is really interesting. If no one has interfered with this planet, how did they advance from, like, I mean, do they have to live in the ooze that they're in, or can they come out of it? I want to know, like, that aspect of it.
I was wondering that too, because, how did they come up with all this technology so advanced if they were prey? And it's like, how did that shift happen? And then it makes me wonder if they didn't come up with technology, someone else came and gave it to them. I mean, there's a whole backstory that needs to be told.
That's a possibility. The possibility I'm more leaning towards at the moment, without further evidence, is that because they were not physically strong and not physically advanced, but they had strong minds, is that necessity became the mother of invention. And so they thought back in the only way they could because apparently at that time, the evolved Kelpians, probably from the point of view of the Baul, were just mindless rage beasts, which I think somewhere in between is probably where the truth is on that. I don't think they were mindless rage beasts, but, the Baul could very easily have seen them that way. And so they thought, okay, we can't fight back physically, so what else can we do? And I think that it's possible that they were intelligent enough to come up with that technology of their own over several hundred years. So, because that timeline was fast forwarded pretty quickly. So I would have to go back and watch it again in slow motion or pausing it every few seconds to see exactly how many hundreds of years it took for the Baul to become the dominant species.
Yeah, it was a long time. I don't remember. I didn't make a note of that, but there was...
That scene did go fast.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting. The chat's saying about how this episode reminds them of the TNG episode Skin of Evil.
Yeah, that's the one with Armus.
And that where was Tasha Yar in this episode?
Well, there was difference because Armus, there's nothing saying that Armus was actually any kind of sort of humanoid bipedal creature. He just took on that form. He could probably take on any form that it wanted, but I think that the Baul are very specifically what they looked like. So though the texture was kind of similar, I did think about Armus, but I didn't think that it was the same species, because the whole thing about Armus was that's a whole different backstory there, which we get pieces of in that episode of Next Generation.
So I'm going to call out Christopher Littlefield here. He has said that I'm going to fall in love with Saru by the end of the season. We shall see, Christopher. We shall see. He's got to beat Pike, because Pike is like way top for me at this point.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love Pike.
Oh, my God,
He's
I love
my favorite
Pike.
Captain.
Yes.
Yeah.
He beat out.
Yeah.
Okay, he has beat
it doesn't
out
take but a
Picard
few
for me.
episodes.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I don't pick favorites.
I don't either, but I'm really loving him.
She purses her lips.
I don't, ... But if I did, ... it might be Pike, ... Maybe.
Oh, he's just so good.
He's so good.
Oh my gosh, yes. And he's absolutely wonderful, by the way. So if anyone goes to Vegas and has a chance to meet Anson Mount, he's delightful to talk to.
So you've met him then?
I did. Did I give you one of the bookmarks that I made?
Hate you.
Yes.
I actually...
Yes. As a matter of fact, I told my wife you were going to be on the show tonight, and I said, she's the one who made the bookmark.
Aw. So I actually... he was wandering around the vendor's room, and... I made a determination that I was going to go up and give him one of these bookmarks. And I did.
I now remember you telling me that. Yeah,
I did. And it turns out it was actually a yellow one that's about the color of his shirt when he first comes on Discovery.
Oh.
Yeah.
My heart.
And he was...
I want to see him.
He was very, very kind.
On Discovery.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
I remember you saying that when it happened.
Yep.
He's sitting in his captain's chair. Well, first, he has to get Saru out of the captain's chair so he could sit there and read his book.
That face, the snark in that face just made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're in my chair.
Right. And Saru's just like, oh, yeah, sorry. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
That's what happens when you become a Kelpian with no fear. You're just like, I deserve this captain's chair. I'm going to sit in it. But to be fair, he was probably, active commander of the bridge at that time. But yeah, it was pretty funny that he's just like, didn't get up.
But yeah, he's definitely more sure of himself, and he doesn't have fear like he used to. I mean, I'm sure he can, he could still have fear, but not the fear that to that intensity they had before. But even to the point that he stood up to Pike later and he's like, why are you not sending me down there? What? You don't trust me? It's like he's all getting in his face like, come on, what is wrong with you?
and Pike is he's rather an idealist. And so you can see, I can see in his gaze, because Anson Mount is incredible with his eye work. I can see in his gaze where he's like, you are treading a thin line, mister, and I'm going to give you a pass for the moment because I like to be fair and I think you're very intelligent. You are my first officer, but if you step over this line, I will put you in your place so fast. But that's what I got for like one, couple of seconds just in his gaze. Because when he is being really intense, he does not blink. He just stares.
Well, and Michael stepped up in between them and was like, she saw it. I loved how everyone was reacting to that on the bridge. They're like, oh crap. This stuff's going to go down between the captain and Saru.
Yeah, some of them are getting out of their seats like, oh yeah, I'm about to take them on. Come on, Saru. Let's fight me. Come on.
Yeah. It was, and I thought I knew that there had to be a way that he was going to go down there, obviously, but it really made sense for him to go. And I understand why Pike wouldn't want him to, but he was the one who knew the most. He was the one who needed to go, but him going with Michael was the right choice instead of him just going alone.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let me ask you something then. There was a comment that the Ba'u makes that says that Starfleet doesn't know what they've got in Saru being there. I just wonder, of course, we know that the Kelpians are now prey, but they were the hunters before with the Ba'u. I just wonder if we're going to see Saru get even more aggressive and get kind of out of control as this, like he'll have to learn to bring it back in, but I have a feeling he might get a bit terrifying as we go through the season.
I think the possibility is there, but Saru, I think, is also one of those people that's very conscious of choosing his behavior. So you knew something was wrong with him when his Vaharai had been triggered and he was like getting catty with people. You're like, oh yeah. Cause he was getting to that point where everyone gets to that point when you're not feeling good and people are just rubbing you the wrong way. You just kind of snap at them. And I just think that he is the kind of person that can choose his behavior and not give in to his base instincts.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you that. Not to say that, I decide what is right and wrong. But as you're
Thanks.
But as you're talking about that, I was agreeing with you. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. But then I started to realize, I think we're going to go back to the planet and find out that his people are very violent. And he's like, what has happened to them? These aren't the people that I used to know. Now they're getting to be as bad as the Ba'u.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, because I don't think, like with people like Sarana there, I don't know that would happen. I think that they will struggle.
Maybe they'll have a war against each other.
They might have a civil war, because generally when you no longer, well, and the thing is that they never really knew an enemy to fight. They couldn't fight the Ba'u. So they've never really fought against anything in their lifetimes. And so there's bound to be some struggle controlling those urges. However, I do feel that the urges are going to be intense, I'm sure. Yeah. And there probably will be some fighting, possibly bloodshed and death. But I don't think that as a species, they're really necessarily going to be the Kelpians that were from X hundred years ago.
Maybe not, but I can see your point, but I can also see Bruce's point, and I'm going to point this out. So, yeah, because...
Oh, yeah, then
Thank you. Somebody finally stands up for me on this show.
Oh,
He's got all these.
I'm sorry. Go on, Hayley. Don't cry, Brandi. We're not at that part yet.
He's got all of these changes that are going on physiologically, and I don't think necessarily Saru and the rest of the Kelpians who have now gone through this process are going to be able to exactly control every little thing. I mean, it's essentially someone who has been on, like, let's say medications for years, for decades, and they go off of them, and once they're out of their systems, they like are a completely different person. They flip their switch, and something super small can really upset them and agitate them. I think we're going to, like Bruce said, I think we're going to see more of, someone mentioned it in the little chat, we're going to see spicy Saru, I think. And I think that he's going to have a hard time controlling some of these anger emotions and this I don't feel afraid. So he's going to kind of go the very opposite end of the spectrum. And I think we're going to see that for a little bit.
It's almost like he's going to have Pon Farr. You know, I'm in control of my emotions.
Honestly, I mean, that may be what happens, but honestly, I would like to see something different because that seems to be the route that writers always take. So I just feel like, let's do something different and maybe not have him turn into a complete monster. We'll see. I'm not a writer.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll see. Alexandra in the chat says that I see the Baul will end up exterminating the Kelpians, and thus the Prime Directive will be born. So General Order 1, that's when it becomes the Prime Directive. I like that idea. That sounds good to me. Which also reminds me, what happened to the Baul at the end of this? I mean, I know that the Red Angels stepped in, but where are the Baul just like hanging out now? Like, where are they? Well,
there was a line that Pike had before, when they were lighting up all of the, what do you call them, pylons, whatever, and getting ready to destroy the entire race. And Pike was talking to them, even though they weren't responding, about how, the Federation could help them negotiate a new balance, a new peace, that it didn't have to end up with genocide one way or the other. And so I would think that because now that Kelpians know, guess what? There's people up in the sky, that General Order 1 doesn't really apply anymore, especially with the Baul already being warp capable. So they might send envoys to help negotiate between the species, is my guess. Yeah. That's the part we never see.
Intriguing.
It's just my thought.
Well, I have thoughts. Then those are thoughts.
I have thoughts,
like those thoughts. You have lots of thoughts.
I do. So many. Too many.
I think what we're talking here sounds to me as I'm putting lotion on my hands because they're very dry.
It puts the lotion on.
What it sounds to me is if we're going to get...
It puts the lotion on.
Huh? It does.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
So it sounds like we need to go back to this planet. This does not sound like an episode we can just be done.
Oh, they do that in TNG all the time.
Yeah, I feel like that.
TOS. Let's just mess things up and leave and never go back.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
That's the Starfleet way. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm sure, if this were a book or something like that we'd go see them in another story somewhere.
I have no doubt about that.
Yeah. That story will continue on, even though it may not necessarily ever be brought to the screen. I definitely think that's not the end of the story. How could it be? So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll see something more. Maybe they will do a book about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Dayton Ward may be typing a book up right now. Who knows?
Yes.
So the Red Angel. This Red Angel is humanoid and has tech, a mechanical suit, and all that. We got a better look at it. Not a great look, but a better look because we're basically seeing it through Saru's eyes. Because Saru has eyes that are much better than Geordi's. I mean, just, you can see all kinds of stuff.
Yes, and we got to see it for several seconds rather than just a 1 or 2 second glimpse. And I was thinking about it. I watched it again today with Dave. Dave was gone last night, so he didn't see it with me when I watched it last night. And we watched it together today, and we started having theories, and he had an interesting theory. And then I had a theory that was so harebrained.
Ooh, I want to hear that. And while I do it, I want to hear from the chat who they think the Red Angel is. But yes, tell us your theory.
I think it's Spock.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously, you think it's Spock?
I do. That's what I think right at the moment. That's my harebrained theory.
Well, because that's why they can't find him, right? They're always looking for him.
It could be, and that could explain. I mean, if he's time traveling and goes back and visits himself to tell him where to find Michael because he's already been there, stuff like that. It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. But since we know that there's time incursions happening, it could literally be anybody, but I would put money down on that it's somebody we know.
Ooh, somebody we know.
So I'm putting my money on Spock at the moment. I could change my mind later because, he's very, very connected to these signals. And he has a kind of, just from things we've seen in previous Star Trek movies, series, appearances and series, etc., he kind of has a almost a precognitive sense about some things. So, he could be, as a child, actually having precognition of him traveling through time in the future and not understanding what that is. I don't know. That's my theory.
So, Hayley, do you have any theories on who the Red Angel could be?
I can see Brandi's point that it could be Spock. I don't have any theories as of yet. To me, the form looked a little more female. I think someone had mentioned that in the comments. So I don't know though. I know I like people who are saying it's Yar.
Denise Crosby back on Discovery.
She always finds a way to get back on Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's some other theories. Yeah, I don't know either. There's theories in chat. It could be Tony Stark, Iron Man. It looks bald. Could be Picard. It could be Harry Mudd. I mean, there's all kinds of things in here. Cybok, I see a couple times in here.
Well, it's in a mechanized suit, and so we don't see a face or a head. So It could be male or female. It's not necessarily human, but it is humanoid. So, there's still a lot left to the imagination. I said it was a harebrained theme, and I meant it. A harebrained theory, excuse me. And I meant that. So if it later turns out to be true, hey, but if it doesn't, that's fine.
Well, I mean, Spock is the elephant in the room, and we still haven't seen him yet, so he could be the Red Angel.
Yeah, I just don't know. There's just so much we don't know yet, but hey, I just threw that in because I just thought, who's the most unlikely person for it to be that we know?
I don't know. But but there's some in the chat that are cracking me up. Some are ones that I was going to say as a joke, and people are already saying it. But I was thinking, who said it? I got to find it now. I've lost it. It was Future Guy. I was thinking that too. Brian. Yes. I thought it's Future Guy. Then we'll find out more who Future Guy was from Enterprise. I like, also 7 to 9 is been mentioned here, but some of my favorites are Keiko.
Oh God.
And Moogie.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that was not a Ferengi-sized head. So
and too tall.
That's just my guess.
Too tall.
Too tall. Neelix or Morn. There you go. Sure. Why not? Okay. Wow. What else do we have? What have we not talked about? Oh, Dr. Culber.
Yes.
He kind of went through his Saru story too, because these are two people, Saru and Culber, are kind of going through some changes in themselves. Because Dr. Culber says he doesn't quite feel like himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I love what Saru said to him. about, perhaps you not feeling like yourself is an indication that you are becoming the person you were meant to be. And I just thought, oh, wow, that is so sweet. I mean, and he put a hand on his shoulder, and I've never seen Saru so touchy-feely before. So, yeah, I like touchy-feely Saru.
Who has no fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part really was just really sad for me, I think. You can see in his face that he thinks he's himself, but he's not. And he knows this is it. And it's so hard. And you see Stamets and he's all excited and happy that Culber's back. But then Culber's like, am I really? And I don't feel myself and I don't have this scar anymore. And it just, it makes me so sad.
Okay, I have to stop right here because Rhea is saying that the chief medical officer is Dr. Pollard. That is not so, because it was confirmed by Wilson Cruz that he was neither the chief medical officer nor was Dr. Pollard. So I don't know who the chief medical officer is, but it's neither of them.
You know what? I'm picturing, when I was in school, I remember there was the teacher's lounge, and that's where some of the teachers would go and hang out. I'm picturing on this ship, there must be a senior officer lounge, because we never see the chief engineer, we don't see the chief medical officer. Like, where are they then?
We only know one chief, and that's the chief of security, which is Non. And that's the only chief we actually know.
Yeah, but who was chief before her, though? She just joined the ship.
Yeah, well, they probably had an acting person, but after, the commander who got killed by Shredder. I cannot recall her name to save my life. I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
Played by Rekha Sharma.
Landry.
I can remember her name.
Oh, yeah.
Landry, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. After she was killed, then it was Ash Tyler for a while. And then that whole thing happened, and I don't know who was acting in her place, but obviously they weren't that great. I'm just kidding. But I would think they would just have the most qualified person there. And if Pike was staying on the ship, he'd definitely want someone he could trust as security chief. So,
okay, I have to say I'm probably I'm a little annoyed that we're not meeting these chief of or chief medical officer and chief engineer. And I don't care if they don't have a prominent role. That doesn't bother me. But at least maybe the chief engineer, like in 1 or 2 episodes, at least walked by and said something, to Stamets or something. And we know that's the person. He or she is just not part of that room and working with the spore drive. I just think it's odd that we don't even hear a name or see anyone.
I've chalked it up to that.
That is kind of odd.
This is different. We don't have necessarily the 3 or the 5 or the 7 main crew that we're used to following around. And I've chalked it up to that. That is what is in my head, that the reason we haven't seen these people, or we don't exactly have one. I'm sure we have one, but we don't see him just because of that. Because it's more of like a whole ship-wide kind of show rather than just, we're going to stick to these, 5 or 7 people.
Yeah. She froze on us again.
Oh, no. She'll be back.
Or will I? Is it my mirror self?
Oh. Yes. Maybe you're the Red Angel.
Yep, it's Hayley. Everybody, it's Hayley. She doesn't know it yet. It hasn't happened to her yet. So keep your mouths shut, everybody. We don't want to pollute the timeline.
I don't know. I'm gonna tweet to the writers of Discovery and just ask them who the chief medical officer is and just see what they say.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, I thought probably Pollard was probably, but if they said no, then I don't know. Why are they doing that? I don't know.
I never really thought about it because it doesn't. Rank never really was a thing for me as far as character. So if the characters are compelling, I couldn't care less if they were chief medical officer or not. But that's just, it's not something that I never noticed until recently.
Yeah, I don't
because
mind
people
that
are bringing
either,
it up. Yeah,
but it just would make sense that we at least hear that there's one, and we hear a name or somebody over the intercom says something. I don't know. It would just be like watching the show and then we never see the first officer. There's got to be one there somewhere. It just feels like that to me.
When you're in charge of an entire department, your job becomes a lot more managerial and a lot less hands-on. So it's probably just that trap of middle management that all the chief officers are in. That's why we never see them, is because they're constantly filing reports and doing all this other crap instead of, I just want to go fix something. So.
Right. Okay. What else do we got? Oh, by the way, I like the spikes coming out of Saru.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was, because when Dr. Pollard told him that this new keratin tissue was coming in, and it was kind of like teeth, I thought, well, that sounds like a weapon. But I didn't know how it was going to manifest. I didn't know if it was going to manifest. And so thanks for paying off Chekhov's new ganglia. It's not really ganglia. I don't know what to call them. Chekhov's spikes. Yeah.
Spikes. Okay.
Chekhov's teeth, really, because she calls them.
That's true. Like yes. Teeth. Well, those teeth grow back. Yeah, I assume they'll grow back.
I would assume so. They just
like shark's teeth. There's just another row right behind it. So when they lose them, there's just another one right behind it.
Right.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Dave says cheek spikes, and he's reminding me. Dave is purposely just
Chris Tribuzio. He says skin darts. I like that. I like that explanation. Skin darts. He also mentioned that maybe the Red Angel is Gary 7. I think I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's just so hard to say, but I really firmly believe, regardless of whether my harebrained theory is true, that it is someone we know. I just don't know who yet for sure, but hey, why not Spock? Crazier things have happened, right?
It very well could be. Yeah. Or it could be T'Pol. She would still be alive by this point.
Oh, yeah, she totally would.
Just saying. Yeah. I like somebody else mentioned Kess. I thought that was a pretty good one, too.
Well, and, it doesn't even have to be...
Oh, I have a better one, though.
Okay. Do it.
Okay. It's Wesley. He's always saving things, right?
Yeah. Well, I like that, but my thought on that is this. Because their mechanized suit, it seems like they need that mechanized suit to protect them from whatever environment they're in, which in some cases is the cold, dark void of space. And Wesley wouldn't need that as a traveler, because he can just go anywhere, do anything.
That's true.
However he wants. So he wouldn't need that. And so I love it. I would love it if it was Wesley, but I don't know that it makes sense.
Ooh.
Christopher Littlefield says Tuvix.
Ooh. Oh boy. Again, I don't think the head thing is big enough. I'm being really bad on head size tonight. I am so sorry. That is not fair.
You've mentioned like a couple of your theories. So we hit the harebrained one. You said you had a harebrained theory earlier to me. So,
yeah, that was the Spock thing.
That's the Spock thing. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we hit that one. I want to make sure we got that. Because we haven't talked about Saru reuniting with his sister.
Which I loved, and whoever that actress is, she is tall. Lord, she is tall. That is fantastic. I love tall women because I am one. But yeah, I love seeing, I loved seeing Serana again. She had the kind of response that I expected, joy at first, and then, why did you do this? Yeah. And do you know what we went through afterwards because of you? I expected that because the shock and joy of seeing him again would wear off, and she would start to think about, what it meant that he was actually alive. And so, yeah, that was a very normal reaction, I think, for a family member or even a close friend. But definitely right on par with, I think, what anybody would be feeling about their brother who pretended to be dead and then suddenly showed up again.
Right. And then shows up for not to come see her. Right.
But he wanted to. He wanted to.
Because he was told he could never go back.
Yeah, he'd been forbidden by Starfleet. So it's not like he didn't want to. He'd been ordered not to.
Yeah.
But he couldn't really explain that to her at the time. And I really loved the scene when they first see each other, and then Michael pulls out her universal translator / communicator, and we start hearing them speaking and what Michael hears.
Yes,
and just,
I wrote that down. Yes, because I like that scene.
Yes, and I just loved Serana's sort of, it's like she's afraid, but she's curious at the same time. And has just, she's looking at Michael's hands and comparing it to hers.
I love that, the hand thing, It's like we're different, but yet similar in a lot of ways, It's like that moment with the hands was so good.
Well, and that's how we would approach it, I would hope, with a little bit of trepidation, but also that inquisitive intrigue and, we do have these similarities, but we don't. It was really powerful. And in some of the alien species we get, the females and the males look really similar. I like that we have just enough.
Okay, there she is.
I know. I like that we have just enough dissimilarity between the male species and the female Kelpians.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell which is which, but I like that Serana wasn't looking for differences when she met Michael. She was looking for similarities. And that made my heart sing, because so often people start pointing out the differences without realizing there's way more they have in common than not. If only the whole world could be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't look for what the differences are.
Look for the similarities.
The similarities, yeah. And I also liked in that scene about the communicator can translate 1,000 languages. She's like, there's 1,000 other different species out there, and she was like, oh no, there's like hundreds of thousands. I mean, that concept alone for someone who thought that they're really just two species that probably exist in the universe is now told that there's hundreds of thousands of them. That's overwhelming.
She handled it very well.
She did.
She handled everything very well.
Yeah, and she was even polite. Do humans drink tea? So, yeah, that was adorable. Fridalian tea.
I should have got some tea before we did the show. It sounds good, actually.
I know, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have some tea after this.
With salt in it?
And then, yeah, you have to put salt in it. That's true.
No, I'm going to put something else in mine.
Oh.
We call it a hot toddy where I come from.
And what planet did you come from?
I come from a planet called Earth. Yeah, it's not something everyone knows what it is, but anyone who knows what a hot toddy is, yeah, I'm going to be having one.
You should have did that for the show.
No.
Okay.
Trust me. You don't want to see me after I've had alcohol in me, because all this just becomes Irish ruddy drunk face. It's just...
Okay, well, that's going to be for Live from the Edge After Dark. We're going to do that show later.
I'm down for that. Let's do it.
Some of that, right, Brandi? In a couple months, maybe.
Oh, you may indeed.
Wait. What's going on in a couple months?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, I want pictures.
Oh yeah, there will be lots of pictures.
Okay. Okay. So when Serana was on the ship and she saw her planet, did you think of Lily on First Contact?
I totally did.
Yeah.
Totally did.
Yeah.
Except she had more of a sense of wonder, and Lily was kind of panicked for a minute. She's like, yeah. But then when she settled down, she really enjoyed it.
Lily was standing over what she didn't think was a window at all, that she was just going to fall out into the vacuum of space. So it's understandable she was kind of scared.
Well, yeah, I mean, she wakes up in a completely alien to her environment in the middle of an emergency.
Yeah.
And with people she does not know. She had every right to act exactly as she did. So, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing to bring up real quick is the super strength of Saru and those little whatever things that were flying through that ship, and he just
the drones.
Yeah.
The drones, yeah, that's it. And he just was breaking out as, just tearing them apart. I was like, yes, Super Saru. The little kid in me was like, yes, I love this part.
Yeah, I was feeling that way as well, because I felt like, okay, so the teeth came out, and through the spikes. And then I thought there's got to be more to that. Well, what is basically an attack that's defensive. And so I figure it was kind of like what we find is an adrenaline spike. I don't know how his physiology translates that, but instead of having that fear response, now he's having a surge of strength and adrenaline. And he's just like, I'm just going to break out of this now, and just smash all your toys and then build something from them, because I can do that. I'm just like, oh, look, he's doing that thing that he did in The Brightest Star. That's so cute.
Yes. I'm surprised in the chat no one has mentioned Prime Lorca as being the Red Angel.
Actually, Dave did.
Someone did. I was like, I'm sure somebody did. I just haven't seen it.
I don't know that Dave did in the chat, but he said that to me before before I came and set up for everything. And I said, there is precedent for that if you read the Discovery books. But as we know, the books aren't specifically canon. However, Bruce, you know what I'm talking about, Bruce.
Yes, I absolutely know what you're talking about.
I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't read the Discovery books, because the Discovery books are great. So please read them.
Yes, go read those books, especially the first one, Desperate Hours, because it has Spock and Pike and Number One and all that in it.
Oh, it's really enjoyable. I've enjoyed every single one of those books.
Yeah, I mean, read them all for sure, yes.
Absolutely.
But that's the first one. Start with that one.
Yes, start with Desperate Hours and then go on to Drastic Measures. And then, sorry. Sorry, I'll just... have we mentioned literary treks, folks, if you want to know about those books but don't actually want to take the time to read them.
Why are you mentioning that show?
Because I knew you wouldn't. And
because I've promoted it way too much on here. Okay, instead, no, I'm not going to even mention the name of that show anymore. I'm just going to tell everybody, if you like what we're talking about here, I'm sure you'd love to hear a discussion on Standard Orbit. It's our TOS podcast with Hayley.
Yes. Thank you. Yep.
There you go. That's your plug, Hayley.
Thanks.
And don't listen to all the others. Don't listen to the others, just that one.
No, it's a great show. And TOS was my first Star Trek because I was born in 1973 and the reruns had already been going for 3 years. My parents had been watching them. Well, actually, my parents had been watching Star Trek since it originally aired in 1966. So it was just kind of like, we're a Star Trek family. And we still are. We all still watch Star Trek. Every single one of us in my immediate family.
Nice.
That's still living.
We do that here. Yeah. TOS is my daughter's favorite, even though she's a... Yep. I have an 11-year-old who loves the original series.
Excellent. I love that.
So.
Wow. I wish my kids aren't into them that much, but they like the Kelvin timeline movies because they think Chris Pine is hot. That's what I hear.
Yeah, her love of people who are watching, her love of the original series. If you kind of look carefully up over here over my shoulder, my friend sent her the dolls. So there's a Spock, a Kirk, and a Uhura up there.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, I like the camera move too. You know, Brandi, we haven't moved our cameras around so people can see other places.
Oh no, I'm not moving this camera.
Mine is just attached.
Then you'll see the stuff I cleared out of the way.
Mine's just attached to the laptop.
Oh, but this picture right here is triggering automated joy. It's also signed by David Tennant, in case you can't tell from the camera shot. So,
what if somebody doesn't know who David Tennant is?
If they know who Jessica Jones is, if they know the series Jessica Jones, they know who David Tennant is. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't know who David Tennant is, then look him up online because, oh my lord, he's fantastic. But we're not here to talk about David Tennant. Oh, it'd be great to have him on Star Trek. Hey, David Tennant, get on Star Trek.
He's the Red Angel.
Yeah, David Tennant's the Red Angel. Excellent.
I think that's it. I think Doctor Who is the Red Angel. This is our crossover.
There we go.
That could actually... Doctor Who has transcended the TARDIS and now built it into a suit that they can just use. So, yeah, that's...
Absolutely.
My brain hurts. Oh, my brain hurts.
That's great. I like that one. I think that's probably the best one.
Yes. I think we determined Doctor Who is the Red Angel.
Excellent.
Oh, Chris Littleford said Catherine Tate is the Red Angel.
Donna Noble as the Red Angel would be like, I would die with joy, but that's not going to happen.
Catherine Tate is not the Red Angel. She just thinks she's the Red Angel.
Hey, no. No, don't you go hating on my Donna Noble. I will come over there.
I'm not hating on her. I'm just, Oh, wait, she was on The Office.
Yes, she was on The Office, but do not confuse her other characters with Donna Noble, because Donna Noble is my favorite companion of all time. Stop talking about Doctor Who.
Okay, yes. Okay, Chris in the chat, why did you say Greg Brady is the Red Angel? I just want to know why you picked that one. I just wondered, just because I'm a big Brady Bunch fan, I just didn't know if he did that because he knew that or not. But anyway.
Well, here, since we're throwing in like random stuff, I'm going to say...
that's what we do.
I'm going to say from a show that I truly love, that's my other passion and my other joy, I'm going to say that Allison is the Red Angel. And that is an Orphan Black reference for those who know what that show is. Or Helena, maybe. Helena could be the Red Angel.
Wait, what show is this again?
It's called Orphan Black.
Oh. I've heard it, but I haven't watched it.
Oh my gosh.
Look, there's a whole freaking list of shows that people tell me to watch, and when I say I don't, they all, like that too. Like, I can't. I don't have that time to watch them all.
I know. It's hard being a nerd these days. I podcast over, I will shout out the Fandom Podcast Network. I do a show over there. It's called Discoville, where we talk about the Orville and we talk about Discovery. So one week we talk about the Orville and then we talk about Discovery the next week. And just trying to keep up with both of those shows is hard enough.
She froze on us again. She froze on us.
I did. I can hear you though.
I know. I was going to say that I froze you on purpose.
The voice is from above.
You're promoting You're promoting another network. That's why we froze you.
Yeah, because we totally have control over that.
Yeah, we don't allow that on here.
Oh, we totally do. Come on.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Yes,
so what if I do the Star Wars report on the Star Wars Report Network? It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's a good segue. So I'm going to ask the chat to rate this episode on a scale of whatever to whatever. You come up with your own, and while you're doing that and thinking through that, Hayley's going to tell us where else you can hear her or find her online.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Trekkie01D. And then, as mentioned, you can find me on Standard Orbit over on Trek FM and the Babel Conference group. So I'm there.
Yes. So overall now, what would be your ranking or rating for this episode? The episode Discovery, not this live show, because...
No, don't rate the live show, please.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 Shoot, what are those flowers called?
Fridalias.
Fridalias. We're going to give it 7 out of 10 Fridalias.
Perfect. Brandi, what would you give it?
I will give it 5 out of 5 spiky teeth.
Very good. I will give it, I don't know. I will give it 8.5 out of 10 Moogies as the Red Angel.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, really quickly. There's something that I forgot to mention. There was some wonderful editing in this episode. There were, and you can't even really call them dissolve edits because it was so seamlessly done that, you know, like, especially when Saru is talking to Sarana at the end in his quarters and it just kind of pans around her and now she's on the transporter pad. I mean, just stuff like that from start to finish. Beautiful editing. That's my last thing. Sorry.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely agree with you with that. For sure. Who was the director of this episode?
Alexander somebody. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the director does have some say, but really the editor is the hero of that one. Mm-hmm. So definitely.
Oh, by the way, just looked it up. It's called The Sounds of Thunder.
It's really not.
I don't know. That's what it says on IMDb. Let me look somewhere else.
Well, I'm going to look on my CBS All Access channel and see what they call it.
There you go.
And they call it The Sound of Thunder.
So which is it?
It is The Sound of Thunder.
I'm looking other places, and you know what it is? It is The Sound of Thunder. Okay, so IMDb was wrong. Okay.
Yes, well,
things are never
IMDb
wrong.
is
they're never wrong. I'm
never
so sorry
wrong.
that I typed it wrong for IMDb. I'm their editor over there. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't do that.
Well, shall we go over the ratings from the chat?
Yes, please do that.
Okay, I shall do that. Let's start with 10 skin spikes from Chris Trabuzio. Dave said 4 cheek spikes out of 5. Brian says 8 out of 10 red things. Nice. Liam Smart says 4,056 out of 4,056 bottle pylons.
I love how you got the number exactly right. It is 4,056 pylons.
Wow.
And Ria Papa Georgiou says 9.47 skin spikes out of 10. TKHUI9, excuse me, says 4.5 out of 5 cups of Kelpian tea. William Jackson says 5 out of 5 bushes of kelp. Sorry. That got my
Was
snort
that a
laugh.
snort?
That got my snort laugh. Good job, William. Good
I
job.
don't think we've had that on the show before.
When you can get a snort laugh out of me, you know it's good. Automated Joyce says war out of 13 doctors. Anyone who knows Doctor Who knows what that means. If you don't, I'm not going to explain it. Beta Artemis says 5 out of 5 teardrops from Captain Pike after Ash's comment about not being in the war. Yeah, that was a low blow.
Yeah.
And Christopher Hill says 9 out of 10 ganglia teas. So, yeah, same as I said, in different ways. Richard Cabrera, 5 out of 5 dumb flying drones. Chris Trabuzio jumps in with 10 shoulder scars from Puerto Rico.
That's great.
And I think that's about it.
I think, so Christopher Littlefield, I don't think you mentioned his earlier. It's 8472.
Oh, yes. Well, I thought that was actually before that, but I didn't know that was part of the.
I'm assuming it's a ranking or rating or whatever.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm sorry, Christopher.
Points.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave you out. Dave says 5 gold rings.
But in Miss Piggy's voice.
5
gold rings.
In Miss Piggy.
That's the part everybody knows from that song.
Oh my God, I love it. But
4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves,
and a beer
partridge
in a tree. I'm sorry, I was singing the Great White North version of that, the Doug and Bob McKenzie version of that song. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Take off to the Great White North.
Do we want to sing Jingle Bells? No.
No, let's really not.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So,
Alexander. No, I have to say this. Alexander Sandu. Yeah, I give Culper's guns a 10 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed by that.
That dude is ripped. I had already seen some of his workout shots on Instagram, and so I already knew he was ripped as, ripped. So that was not a surprise to me. But it's like when he folded his arms, I'm like, holy cow, that's why they didn't put you in a full shirt. You would have busted it open.
That's okay. Who would have minded that?
Right.
Yeah. Nobody.
Yeah.
That's why he was naked in the previous episode, because they ran out of wardrobe that actually fits him.
Yeah.
They just lay down.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that to objectify him. I am saying that I am impressed by his dedication that it would take to get to that point of physical fitness.
Yeah.
So
all this coming from the woman with a bowel problem.
I do have a bowel problem, and I need to go get some Imodium AD, I think. Oh, man. No.
Well, we need to close things out. So, Brandi, you have to do your ending thing.
I know, but I don't have.
So we're going to tell everybody where they can find us online and shows just like that Hayley did. But while we do that, the chat is going to give us some ideas of what voice you can do for the closing.
Yeah, give me some ideas because I don't.
So,
have
Brandi,
any.
Where can people find you when you're not on live?
Nowhere. I'm always here.
Always here.
24/7.
What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is Brandywine12 or Dark Amy Knows Rock, depending on which person you want to talk to more. Dark Amy only talks about nerd stuff. She doesn't talk about anything else. That's weird that I'm referring to myself in the third person, isn't it? Okay. So you can find me there. You can always find me lurking in the Babel Conference on Facebook. You can also find me on the Dark Corner podcast with my fabulous husband, Dave, talking about nerd stuff and things. And there are swears, so don't listen if you don't like swears. And you can find that on darkcornerpodcast.com. And maybe you'll see me somewhere else in the future.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Okay. And you can find me on Literary Treks, where we're going to have somebody on sometime soon in the future on an episode. And on the Star Wars Report, I'll be on there too. If you want to hear me on there, talk about Star Wars. Because we got Star Wars Celebration in March. And is it really? No. Is it? No, April. In April, we'll be doing some live stuff from there. Cool. And in Chicago this year. And then, I'm on Twitter at Admiral_Rex. That's that. So we're getting some suggestions here, Brandi, and unfortunately, some of these are the ones that I suggested before we went on the air, where you're like, I can't do Bowel for that long. I can't do Arium for that long.
I can't do Arium at all because she has a mechanized voice, and I just can't. I can't match that with my vocal cords.
And we've done the Disco Computer before.
We have done the Disco Computer before, which actually went way better than I expected.
I remember that, yeah. Oh, yeah, Tasha Yar. I don't know how you would do Tasha Yar, though.
I talk normal? I don't know. Because Tasha Yar is pretty much...
Marissa Tomei and Catherine Tate, Schoolgirl.
I'm not bothered. Do I look bothered? I'm not bothered.
You want to do that?
Well, she is my birthday twin. Catherine Tate and I have the same birthday. Not the same year, but the same day of birth. So,
okay. So
I could do that.
Okay, so Catherine Tate, yay. That's going to be our closing. Here we go. And whenever you're ready, just let us know.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Be sure to check out our Discovery coverage throughout the week. Live from the Edge airs on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Our commentary will be available as tracks from the Edge. We'll discuss your feedback from Postcards from the Edge, and you can catch the full analysis on the Edge main show. It sounds terribly boring. You can catch us on... Oh, no, sorry. I lost my place. But do I look bothered? Am I bothered? I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. Join us for Notes from the Edge with our own Chris Jones for links between Discovery and the broader franchise. And you'll find all these on the main feed for the Edge and in the Trek FM master feed. I guess we want to hear your thoughts on Discovery. I don't really care. But you can do that on the Babel Conference, which is some group on Facebook. And some lovely bird named Amy Nelson will collect your feedback for postcards from the edge. You can find us on Twitter at Trek FM. Or you can send us email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. I'm not bothered. Choose to send to a show, choose the edge. All right, we've got some blokes that want to be talked about. Guess they're associate producers or what. I don't know, sir. Excuse me, sir. Let me read your name, sir. All right, we got Norman Seelau, we got Tony Robinson, we got Thomas Palayo, we got Lisa Slack. Oh, we got a lady in there. Shoab Mercer, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reuter. Oh my, the two birds in there. Ryan Mallet, Chris Trabuzio, Brian Milosh. I like saying his name, Brian Milosh. Are you bothered? Are you bothered, Brian? I don't care. If you'd like to help us keep all our shows going and even become an AP, visit patreon.com/TrekFM for all the details. I'm out.
Okay, that was not the first time you've done Catherine Tate.
It is. It is absolutely the first time
Really?
that I've done Catherine.
That was
good.
fantastic. I'm dying. Everyone's like, Hayley's lost it. And I'm trying not to laugh.
The only
great.
Bothered.
I've not seen. I love her schoolgirl. It's unbelievable. And in fact, when I met Catherine Tate, because yes, I had to meet Catherine Tate when she came to FanX, she signed 2 pictures for me. And one of them was the schoolgirl, where she says, I'm not bothered. I just love that she wrote that on my autograph. Yeah. Fan moment.
Wow. That was great.
Thanks for the suggestion, guys. Great suggestion.
It's so great because, we're like, before the show, I'm asking Brandi, do you have any idea? She's, I have no idea. And we're like, I'm thinking, we're not going to probably get much of anything tonight, but that was excellent. So that was a great suggestion.
And yes, Alexander Sandu, it is Lauren. Lauren is the name of that character that Catherine Tate plays. The schoolgirl. She, in fact, she did for, and I can't remember the name of the charity. They do a big celebrity fundraiser for it on BBC every year. And, they all wear these red noses. It started to leak into our culture over here. And, she did a skit for that as Lauren, and their teacher was David Tennant. And it was fantastic. And she's like, Sir, and he's trying to talk, Sir, are you the doctor? And he says, Doctor Who? And they're like, yeah! It was
oh my gosh, I remember I did see that. Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, Catherine Tate, thank you for joining us.
Oh, that's like a really high compliment.
I knew you would cry at some point, and it was at the very end of the show. Hayley, thank you for joining us. It was great having you.
Thank you. Please come back.
Thank you for having me, and I must be the Red Angel because I keep glitching.
There you
pop
go.
up and then I'm gone.
Where's that red thing?
I was expecting a red thing. Where's my red thing?
Even wearing red today.
Oh my god. Oh,
yeah, she is.
Oh, mind blown. Mind blown.
Let me know when you want to come on Literary Treks.
Okay.
You have to read a book.
I'd have to have the time to read a book, and then I would have to pick up one of the Trek books. I mean, I do have a stack. People can kind of see on the shelf. I do have some books. This is my Star Trek bookshelf. There are books there. I just haven't had time to read them.
Okay. Well, you just let us know when you get a chance. So there you go.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to close this out. And what do we always say? Live long and prosper.
And keep calm and disco on.
Boo, 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 doo, boo, boo. See you next week. Same time, same channel.
Bye, guys.